Hello everyone, I'm back today with the 7th session for our 10-day C programming course. Please do watch the previous videos if you haven't. Hope all the concepts discussed yesterday was clear. Now let's see a few basic programs. The first program is to check if a given number is odd or even. So first we have the preprocessor directive command, that is a preprocessor command, which is hash include stdio.h. We are including stdio.h header file into this program because we are making use of the function printf and scanf, which is available under the header file stdio.h. Now there is int main, which represents the beginning of the program, and then we have declared a variable number, declared a variable num. It is used to store the input which is given integer input which is given by the user. So then there comes printf. Inside that the message printed is enter an integer, and after that the user will be giving an integer as input, and that input is accepted using the scanf function and it is stored in the variable num. Now in the next line we have a if condition. So what is the inside if the condition given is if inside if the condition given is num modulo 2 equal to 0. So the body of the if loop, that is print num is even, will be executed only if the condition given inside the parenthesis is true. So the condition is num modulo 2 equal to 0. That is, if you divide the number by 2 and if you get a remainder as 0, then what you have to do is the program will print on the screen that that particular number is even. Otherwise, that is, if that condition is false, that is when you divide the number by 2 and if you get the remainder as 1, then the output will be, that is, then the else part will be executed. Printf number is odd. Now and then after that it will come to the return. So here the given input is -7. -7 is also considered as an integer. Here it is declared as int. So any value starting from minus 37,000, I don't remember the range correctly, but from that range to plus 37,000, until that range you can give any number as input. So -7 falls under that category, so definitely it will accept and it will store under num. If we give a number which is outside that range, we'll get a error message. So here, since -7 falls under that range, we do not get any error messages. Directly what it is done is this number is divided by 2. So the remainder, when you divide it by 2, the remainder you get is 1. So -7 is odd. This is the output of the first program. Now the next program is to check if a number is odd or even using the ternary operator. So ternary operator does the same functionality of the if else, but the thing is it can be done in a single line. So in this program we'll see how it is done. So here the same thing, we have hash include stdio.h int main, and then the variable num is declared and it is of data type int. Then using printf, we'll print on the screen, enter an integer. At that time the user will give an input, an integer as input, and it is stored in the variable num. Now here the condition is num modulo 2 equal to 0. So, and then you can see there's a question mark, and then there is a printf statement. After a colon there is again a printf statement and a semicolon. Now what happens here is, if this condition is true, the statements that come after the question mark will be executed. Whereas if the condition is false, the statements which come after the colon will be executed. So it is like, if num modulo 2 equal to 0, printf modulo d is even, else printf modulo d is odd. So the same functionality, that is what we did in the above program, we did it using if else. The same thing can be done using the ternary operator also. So the ternary operator, the syntax is condition question mark true, or like what should be executed if the condition is true. After colon we'll mention what should be executed if the condition is false, and after that you'll put a semicolon. This is the syntax of the ternary operator. Here we are using ternary operator to check if a particular number is even or odd. Now here the in the output screen, like while executing the program, this is what you'll get. Enter an integer will be printed on the screen. You will enter that the user has entered 33. So 33 is an odd number, because when you divide 33 by 2, the remainder you get is 1. So here num modulo 2 equal to 0 is false. So definitely this statement will be executed. Now this is how ternary operator is used. Now let's see a program to check if a particular year is a leap year or not. So a year is said to be a leap year if it has if it has 29 days in the month of February. It can be also said in the same way, but here they are checking if a particular month is a leap year or not by mathematically, that is by checking the remainder when you divide the particular year by 400 and 400. After you're comparing the values, the remainder you get after dividing those years by these particular numbers, and after checking all of it, you're finding if a particular year is a leap year or not. So let's see how it is done. So here there we are declaring a variable year. It is to store the input which is given by the user. And then there is printf asking the user to enter a year, and using scanf you are accepting the input from the user and you're storing it in the variable year. Now the first is, so here they're using the concept of nested if, that is inside the body of one if condition you will find another if. So you can include any number of if inside the body of another if condition. There is no restrictions regarding the number of if conditions that you can include. So here if year modulo 4 equal to 0, that is when you divide the year by when, like imagine the year is 2050. So the value stored in year in the variable year is 2050, and if you divide 2050 by 4, and if you get 0, that is if you get the remainder 0, then it will go inside the body of the if. So inside the body of the if you have another condition, if year modulo 100 equal to 0, that is if you divide 2050 by 100, are you getting the remainder 0? If that is also true, then again there is a condition here. If you divide the year by 400 and if you still and check if the remainder is 0. If it is 0, again what it is done is print if the year is a leap year. That is if all the conditions are satisfied, then it is a leap year. Otherwise, if the first two conditions are satisfied but the third condition is not satisfied, then it is not a leap year. And then here okay, first condition is satisfied but the second condition is not satisfied, then it is a leap year. Again here the first condition is not satisfied, then it will come to the it is not the leap year part. So here you can see this else belongs to this if block, that if else this comes together, and then if else this comes together. I am saying that because see here it does not have any curly braces because it's just a single statement which has to be executed if the condition is true. So it's not necessary that you have to include the curly brackets. But here, since there are more than one statements inside the body of this if loop, they have given curly braces. So here, from here to here, everything comes inside the body of this if condition, and this else belongs to this if. If this condition is false, then directly, that is here it's opening bracket, this is for your understanding, here is opening bracket for your understanding I'm saying this. So the closing braces of this particular if is here. So the else which comes right after that will be the pair of this if else. So it will, if this condition is false, it will directly come here and it will print it, that particular year as a leap year. Now if the first condition itself is false, see this is opening bracket of the first if condition, and this is the closing bracket of the first if condition. If this one is false, the control will directly come here and it will say that it is not a leap year. So let us see, they have given an example 1900, that is the value stored in year will be 1900. So 1900 divided by 4, the remainder you will get 0. And the next condition is, since 1900 divided by 4 is 0, it will go to, it is true. So it will go inside the body of the if condition. So again there is a condition, if here modulo 100 equal to 0, 1000 modulo 100, you will get remainder 0 because the quotient is going to be 19. That is also true. But here then since that condition is true, again it will go inside. So here it is, if year modulo 100 equal to 0, 1900 divided by 400 will not give you the remainder 0. So therefore the output of this one will go to the else part and it will print 1900 is not a leap year. Now here let's given another example. Enter the year 2012. So 2012 divided by 4 will give you the remainder 0. So it will go to the next if condition. So again 2012 divided by 100, that is not true. So what happens is it will come to the else part of this if. So the closing bracket of this one is this one. The nearest closing bracket will be the so if this is the open, like if you would like to find a pair of this opening bracket, what you have to do is you have to find the nearest closing bracket. So this one's closing bracket is this one. It will start from the insides. First the brackets from the insides will, this is the pair of this one's pair is this one, and next is this one's pair is this one, and this one's pair is this one. So so since this condition is false, it will go to the else part of this if condition. So it will print 2012 is a leap year. So this is the program. Now we have the fourth program, which is to find the factors of an integer. So a factors means the factors of an integer are the set of integers, that is if we divide a number by another number and if we get the remainder as 0, then that particular number is said to be the factor of that number. That is, let's take an example. We're taking the number 6. So if we take the number 6, when we divide 6 by 1, you'll get the remainder 0. So 1 is said to be a factor of 6. Now let's take the next number, which is 2. 2, when you divide 6 by 2, you will get the remainder again 0. So again 2 is a factor of 6. Now let's go to the next number, which will be 3. 6 divided by 3 will give you the remainder 0. So therefore 3 is also a factor of the number 6. Now the next number is 4. When you divide 6 by 4, you won't get the remainder 0. So 4 is not a factor of 6. The next number is 5. 5, when you divide 6 by 5, you won't get the remainder 0. So therefore 5 is not a factor of 6. Now the next number is 6. When you divide 6 by 6, you will get the remainder 0. Therefore 6 is a factor of 6. Now to check the factors, you will only take the numbers from 1 to that particular number. You won't take numbers which is greater than that given number. So here is a simple program to find the factors of the integer. Let's see. Here you have two variables, that is num and I. Now you can see num is used to store the the integer for which the user would like to find the factors for. Now you can see there's another variable I used here. So remember in the program when I explained it to you, I said first time you're taking the number 1 and then you're dividing 6 by 1 and you're checking if the remainder is 0 or not, and you're finding if 1 is a factor. Next time what you're doing is you're incrementing 1 to 2, that is 1 plus 1 is 2. You're dividing 6 by 2 and you're checking if the remainder is 0, and if remainder is 0, then 2 is a factor. In the same way what I did this, the 1 became 2, 2 became 3, 3 became 4, 4 became 5, 5 became 6. For this, that is for keeping track of this, a variable has to be used. So for that purpose I'm using I, and also the purpose, that is also the task that I'm doing here is the same. That is, I'm taking a number, I'm dividing 6 by that particular number and I'm checking if the remainder is 0. If the remainder is 0, that particular number is a factor of 6. So this same process is continued for all the numbers. So I can use, it is easy for me to use a loop here. So after accepting the number from the user, I'm storing it in the variable num, and then I'm just printing the factors of the value stored in num are. Then in the loop I'm checking, that is I'm taking all the numbers from 1 to 6 and I'm checking if 6 is divisible by those numbers. So how do I do that? Here I'm taking a loop. If I equal to 1, because I am giving I equal to 1 because I have to check for all numbers starting from 1. Now the next is I less than or equal to num. The condition given here is once it reaches the value stored in num. So in our example we have taken 6. So once the value of I reaches 6, or once it goes more than 6, the program has, or the loop has to terminate. So that is a condition. That is my, if the input is 6, then I should consider numbers starting from 1 to 6 only. I should not consider numbers which is greater than 6. So that is the condition here. That is I. The variable should not, the variables which I contains should not be greater than num. That is, it should only be less than or equal to num. Now after that we have the validation. Validation means plus plus I. I'm using plus plus I. That is, every time the body of the loop is executed, I have to go to the next number. That is, I have to increment the value stored in I by 1. Now here you can see again there is opening bracket because the body of the loop does not contains more than one statement. So you are using a opening curly braces. Now there is condition. That is, if you divide the value stored in number by the value stored in I, and if you get the remainder 0, then that particular number is a factor of this given number. So what you have to do to show that, tell the user that that particular number is a factor, you have to print it on the screen. So if that condition is true, you're printing it on the screen. So let's take okay, here it's given as 60. So when value of I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 60, now it will check the condition. 60 modulo 1 equal to 0. The condition is true, so it will print 1 on the screen. Now what happens is I value is incremented. 2 less than or equal to 60, it is true. 60 modulo 2 equal to 0. It is true because you can divide 60 by 2 and the remainder will be 0. So therefore 2 is also printed. So this keeps on going until I value reaches 60. So after I value reaches 60, again it will print 60, and what happens is the I value gets incremented to 61. And once they check the condition, it will be like I less than or equal to num will be 61 less than or equal to 60. So 61 is not less than or equal to 60. 61 is greater than 60. There the condition becomes false, and what happens is the control, it comes out of the loop. The loop is terminated and the statements after the closing bracket of the loop are executed. So here this is a closing curly braces of the loop. After that, what are the statements that will be executed? Here it is return 0. So the program execution is stopped. So this is how the working of the program to find the factors of the integer is. Now let's see another program to find the number of digits in an integer. So how do you check for the number of digits? Let's take an example. Like normally, if you are asked to find the number of digits, what would you do? The number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 digits in the number. We can automatically find it. But a computer cannot do all of these until we give it an instruction. So we have to write the program for it. Now let's see how that is done. So here they have taken long n. So that is any number can be like even we can give very large numbers. So then there is int count equal to 0. So this variable is used to check the number, that is count variable is used to keep track of the number of digits this particular number has. Now there is a using printf we are printing a message on the screen, enter an integer. After that there is scanf function which is used to accept an integer from the not integer, we are accepting a long value. So it will accept the long value and it will store in the variable n. Now we can see there we are using while loop here. While loop is an entry controlled loop. That is, the condition is checked before executing the body of the loop. Now n not equal to 0. N not equal to 0, this is the condition. That is the loop should be terminated, or the loop should stop executing when the condition when the condition is false. That is, when n becomes 0, the loop should stop executing. So what they have done here is they are dividing the value stored in n by 10. N slash equal to 10 is equal to n equal to n slash 10. Now n slash 10 means when you divide the value stored in n by 10, you will get a particular quotient. This quotient is stored in the variable n. Let's take an example. Here it is given 3452. So in n, 3452 will be stored. So n not equal to 0, it is true because 3452 is not equal to 0. Now what happens in the next line is, since the condition is true, it will go inside the body of the loop. So the first line is n slash equal to 10, that is divide the value present in n by 10 and then store the quotient in the variable n. So what happens here is 3452 divided by 10, what happens is when you divide it by 10, you will get the quotient as 345 and the remainder will be 2. So the value stored in n will be 345 and the count variable is incremented by 1, that is the value stored in count is incremented or increased by 1. Again n value not equal to 0 because the value stored in n becomes 345 and 345 is not equal to 0. N slash equal to 10. 345 when you divide it by 10, the quotient will be 34 and the remainder will be 5. So in n value 34 will be stored. Again the value stored in count is incremented by 1 and it becomes 2. Now it will check the condition again, n not equal to 0. 34 is not equal to 0, it is true. Again 34 is divided by 10. When you divide 34 by 10, you will get the quotient as 3 and the remainder will be 4. Now the count is incremented by 1. Count becomes 3. Again n value stored in n becomes 3 because when you divide 34 by 10, you will get the quotient as 3 and the remainder will be 4. So n not equal to 3, n not equal to 0. 3 not equal to 0 is true. So again it comes inside. When you divide 3 by 10, the quotient is 0 and the remainder will be 3. That is when you divide a by b, and if b is greater than a, then the quotient will be 0 and the remainder will be a. Please make note of this. This is very important. When you if it's not declared as float, this is what happens. That is when you divide a by b, and if a is a number which is less than b, then the quotient is 0 and the remainder becomes a. So here the same condition, when you divide 3 by 10, 3 is less than 10, the quotient becomes 0 and the remainder will be 3. So again count plus plus value of count becomes 4. N not equal to 0. N value is 0 because the quotient which we got when dividing 3 by 10 is 0. So this condition becomes false and the control comes out of the loop. Now the next line is printf number of digits count. Number of digits 4. That is in count we have stored the number of digits. Number of digits is printed on the screen. So this is another program to find the number of digits in a particular number. Now let's see a program to check if a particular number is an Armstrong number or not. So we're checking this only for three digit numbers. So what an Armstrong number means is, let's take an example for since the program is for 3-digit numbers, I'll take an example of a 3-digit number. So take the example of 300. So a 300 is said to be an Armstrong number if 3 cube plus 0 cube plus 0 cube is equal to the number itself, which is 300. So 300 is not an Armstrong number because 3 cube plus 0 cube plus 0 cube gives you 27. 27 is not equal to 300. Therefore, 300 is not an Armstrong number. Whereas 153, 1 cube plus 5 cube plus 3 cube. 1 cube is 1, 5 cube is 125 and 3 cube is 27. So 125 plus 125 plus 27 plus 1 gives you the number 153. So therefore 153 is an Armstrong number. Now let's see how to solve this using a code written in C. So first there is given num, original num, remainder, result equal to 0. So first you are asked to this is printed on the screen. Enter a 3-digit number, and then using scanf function, you're accepting the value and you're storing it in the variable num. Now what you're doing is you're storing that particular number in another variable original num, because we'll see the reason in the code here itself. Then they are checking if the value stored in original num not equal to 0, opening curly brackets. That is, if the condition is true, we'll go inside the body of the loop. Remainder equal to original num modulo 10. That is, in remainder you're getting the you're getting the last digit of the particular number. That is, if you divide any number by 10, and if you take the remainder, you will get the last digit of that particular number. That is, take an example of 12. Now if you take 12 and if you divide it by 10, you will get the quotient as 1 and you will get the remainder as 2. So 2 is the last digit of the number 12. So this is what is done here. In remainder, you're getting the last digit of that particular number, and then result plus equal to remainder star remainder star remainder. So here remainder means the last digit, and in result you are storing the sum of the cube of that particular number. That is, remainder star remainder star remainder means remainder cube. So in result, what you'll do is you will add the cube of the last digit. Now what you're doing is you're dividing the particular number by 10. So the number was 371, and in the remainder you will get 1, because 371 the last digit is 1. So result equal to remainder star remainder star remainder, 1 star 1 star 1, 1 star 1 star 1 is 1 itself. So in result it was initialized to 0, but now you're adding the value 1 to it. So result equal to result plus 1. So result becomes, the value stored in result becomes 1. Now 371 is divided by 10 and the quotient is stored in original num. So 371 divided by 10 becomes 37 and the value stored in original num becomes 37. Now again 37 not equal to 0 is true. So again in remainder you're getting the last digit of 37. Last digit of 37 is 7. So in result you're adding the sum of the last digit, 7 star 7 star 7. So 7 7 are 49, 49 into 7 you'll get a particular value. That value is stored in result, and again so result is stored used to store the cube of the digits. Now in original num, again 37 is divided by 10, you will get the quotient as 3 and 3 is stored here. So remainder 3 is stored here. So again in remainder you will get 3. That is, if you divide a particular number here, modulo 10 means you are dividing a particular number by 10 and you are taking the remainder. So 3 divided by 10 will give you the quotient as 3 and the remainder quotient as 0 and the remainder as 3, because 3 is less than 10. So 3 is stored in remainder. Now result is equal to 3 star 3 star 3, which is 3 into 3 9, 9 3 are 27. Along with the value of result you are adding 27. Again 3 is divided by 10, you will get the quotient 0, because 3 is less than 10, so therefore the quotient will be 0 and the original number, that is value stored in original number is 0. 0 not equal to 0 becomes false. And after that you're checking if the value, that is if the sum of the cubes of the digits is equal to the actual number. So if it is equal to the actual number, it is an Armstrong number, else it's not an Armstrong number. So the reason why you're storing the number given by the user to another variable is you're changing the value stored in this particular variable. So once you keep on changing the value, at last it becomes 0. So you won't have a particular value to compare the sum of the cube of the digits with. So for that reason, we are storing the value saved in num to another variable original num. So here you're checking if the sum of the cube of the digits of the number is equal to the number itself. If it is equal, it's an Armstrong number, else it's not an Armstrong number. So by this we have come to the end of today's session. In case if you have any doubts or would like to or you would like us to explain a few more concepts, please let us know down in the comments. We'll definitely read it and get back to you. And also in case you have any suggestions or feedbacks, please let us know, as you can go to the website and register it there. Also don't forget to take the test after watching this video. The test will be closed by 10 p.m. tonight, so definitely make sure to attend the test before 10 p.m. And also I have included the link to the notes I've used in the video down in the description. Please go check it out in case if you would like to have a glance at it. Thank you so much and keep learning.